and welcome to So You Think You're Awake, the show all about dreams and their meanings. I'm your host, Michael Sheridan, and it is my mission to set the record straight about dreams. Our show is live on Mondays at noon Pacific time on YouTube. Audio only is also available on Apple Podcasts and Google Play. You can send your dreams to the show at dream-analysis.com. The theme for today's show is reproduction. I did a soapbox piece on Freud a few shows back and joked about every dream being about sex, and that did it. I immediately got dreams sent in that were about sex. I don't think that we ever did a show about reproduction during our 2 years on KKNW, but here on YouTube we are not as restricted. We're still keeping it a family show, but be warned, this show is stronger than most. We're a funny species. In the West we dote over kids, but we dare not talk about the act that produces them. All of your ancestors were sexually active. If they weren't, you wouldn't be here. Here's an interesting fact. Did you know, if you don't have children, you will be the first in your lineage since the beginning of the human race to not have one? Having a child out of wedlock in many parts of the world was considered so bad that the child was typically given up, or if lucky, raised by grandparents who pretended the child was theirs. Yes, I know there are still places in Ireland and America that still live in that dark age, but fortunately, since my childhood, the situation has improved considerably. Whether married or not, dreams will encourage you to have sex. If only I knew that as a teenager. Still, I don't think my parents would have bought it. The reason I was with Jenny, Mom, is the universe demanded it. It is interesting to note that dreams don't consider marriage a sacrament. They reflect the views of the spirit world. There is no until death us do part. There is no death. Just an ever-continuing present. If a relationship brings you opportunities for spiritual growth, dreams endorse it. If it restricts spiritual growth, your dreams and your guides urge you to end it. But all the while, they tell you not to neglect the fact that you are a sexual being. You came here with a life purpose. We know that. You also chose your gender. That's maybe a little harder to swallow for some. You came here as a man or a woman because exploring life from that gender's perspective is part of you exploring who you are. When I started developing my website in 1996, I regularly checked my ranking in each of the major search engines. On one such check, I discovered that my site was blocked by Cyber Patrol for having sexual content. The offending section was the dictionary because it listed symbols that indicated the female reproductive system. Move forward 3 years and I was writing agony aunt articles on dreams in an attempt to get them published in an American newspaper. The editor returned one article because it included a dream whose analysis included the words uterus and ovaries. I was shocked, as reproduction is such an important theme in dreams, and it's certainly not obscene. To measure my audience, I ran a survey on my website asking whether I should include dreams that cover femininity. I was relieved with the result. Over 84% of respondents were in favour of covering the subject. The question still has to be asked, why does anyone in our culture see sex as obscene? The answer is that we are conditioned to think that way. Have you ever left the children with their grandparents and gone off for a dirty weekend? Many who consider themselves liberated would still use that expression. Is sex dirty then? As obvious descendants of a line of people who must have had sex, are we all unclean? It does not help that the most insulting names you can call a person are slang names for male and female genitals. That context is in the back of people's mind when those words are used. It is rare to come across anyone who can talk openly about sex without either feeling embarrassed or scrutinised. If they talk openly, they fear what others will think of them afterwards, even if the conversation is just with their partner. These are some of the main issues raised by dreams on the subject. It is fair to say that many workplaces do not have equal status for women. When I was younger, women had to leave their job when they got married. Thinking about that now, it seems so outrageous. My own children will grow up oblivious to that ever being part of Irish society. We have moved on, but we have not let it go fully. In many countries, many women feel that they have to work twice as hard in business just to be given the same breaks as a man doing the same job. Depending on how you're affected, you may blame society, blame men, blame government, blame abuse of power, or blame your gender. If the latter is true for you, expect dreams asking you to improve your view of your femininity. During a radio interview, a woman who owned 2 businesses called in with a dream that revealed this very problem. In her dream, she found herself decorating a new bedroom she had just designed. The bedroom had 2 small bedrooms, which are the ovaries, off a large communal area, which is the uterus. In her words, there was nothing exquisite about it. The dream was asking her to improve her view of her femininity and to accept the design of her body she had created. While there may be truth to having difficulty competing in a man's world, that is never a reason for blaming your gender. The problem is with society and not with reproductive organs. Left unchecked, this negative view of her femininity could lead to health problems in the area being targeted by all the negative thoughts. This would become a self-fulfilling prophecy, since having a uterus has caused her nothing but problems in the first place. If this resonates with you, consider this to lighten your view. Women are the doorway between the spirit world and the physical world. While there are countless ways to die and leave the planet, the only way for a soul to get here in the first place is through a woman's body. As a society, we clearly do not give pregnancy and childbirth the respect they deserve. Creating a new human life is the most remarkable gift we have. If bringing a soul onto the planet is worthy of respect, then so too is the act that initiates the process. If you have been brought up to believe that sex is dirty, you might find yourself in dreams cleaning a black stain off the carpet in the bedroom. Things underfoot in dreams often represent what we must overcome. The black stain is asking you to overcome your feelings of guilt with regard to the sexual act. Sex being regarded as dirty can also lead to the parts of the body that distinguish gender being regarded as unclean. This problem is even more likely when brought up in a religion that agrees with the Old Testament position that a woman who has given birth is unclean. Dreams which show an unclean vessel, such as a dirty bathtub, dirty bottles, or a barrel of unclean water, indicate this. You can also adopt a negative view of your gender if your parents were unhappy with your gender at birth. A woman holding up young boys' black briefs in the bedroom indicates that the dreamer picked up a negative attitude, which is the black clothing, towards her gender, the boys' briefs, at the time of her birth. Her birth is indicated in this dream by holding up an object and inspecting it. And this is because her parents were disappointed with her gender. While her parents may quickly move on from their disappointment, it is not so easy for the young child. She will shun the part of herself that her parents found fault with, and in later years may develop a problem, psychological or physical, in this area unless something is done to correct the imbalance. Sexual energy is the most creative energy we have. We can clearly see its ability to create life. Its creative ability, however, is not limited to just this and is used in any creative act. Writing, art, music, poetry, sculpture, etc. are all aspects of creation and take on a life of their own once created. As such, difficulties working in your creative area can be linked back to the reproductive system in your dreams. When this is the case, the dream is pointing out that clearing the issues there will restore the flow of creative energy and thus help in other areas. Your sexuality is part of your identity and tempers much of your conversation and actions in life. Even without being consciously aware of it, you change the words you use, the detail of the conversation, and the manner of your speech depending on the gender of the friends you are talking to. If they are all your gender and age, the conversation is least restricted. If the audience is mixed in gender or age, certain subjects become taboo. For some people, sexual communication is taboo, even with their partner. Such a problem can trigger dreams where you are not able to talk on the telephone in a bedroom with your partner. Dreams can link problems with conception to the ovaries. One woman who had been trying unsuccessfully to conceive or carry a pregnancy past a few weeks dreamed she was mixing 2 packets of tomato soup. Red is the colour of the base chakra, which feeds energy to the reproductive system and is healing for it in dreams. It is also the colour of passion, and indeed tomatoes are known as passion fruit. The red colour in her dream links the healing to her reproductive system. The problem being pointed out is that a mucus, indicated by the soup, is affecting both ovaries. Mucus attaches to the egg that is released and hinders fertilization and subsequent attachment of the embryo to the uterine wall. In this dreamer's case, the link is made to eating because food is shown, and the elimination system because it is mixed in a bowl. The dream is clearly saying that toxins getting into your bloodstream from the colon are causing a mucus to develop in the uterus. Improving diet and elimination are part of the solution to this problem. In keeping with our theme, let's have a look at symbols that indicate reproduction. Red, the colour of the base chakra, is linked to the reproductive system and used to heal it in dreams. It is also the colour of passion and revitalises the body. To dream of a thin red border on your partner's dress would indicate your passion is borderline in the relationship. In such dreams, you will also be shown why and how to resolve the problem. Most sexual activity takes place in the bedroom, so bedrooms are a common symbol for the reproductive system. One of the most common symbols for reproduction, however, is a mirror. This symbol can appear in any location and still be about reproduction. A mirror reproduces an image of whoever is looking into it, so it is therefore a reproductive device. Other devices which show up in dreams and all indicate reproduction are cameras, photocopiers, and any device with a purpose of copying or reproducing things. Teeth falling out is by far the most common symbol for dreams about reproduction and raising children, and we covered this in last week's show in some detail. It can also indicate a physical health problem, the onset of menopause, or issues with parenting or concerns over your child's well-being. Water represents life, and any vessel used to hold water can indicate the uterus, where new life begins. Mostly in dreams you find the vessel is unclean. Being unclean indicates the dreamer does not respect the reproductive system. Often the cause is they have been conditioned to regard sex as dirty at a young age. Therefore, the parts of their body which distinguish gender are regarded as unclean or dirty. Typical examples would be dirty bottles, dirty bathtub, or a barrel of unclean water, and so on. A garden tree is indicative of the family tree. As a symbol, it may often appear along with flowers. A harvest field is indicative of the reproductive cycle. Seeds that were planted have now grown. Seeds, seedlings, and potted plants are always about new growth. Animals with young indicate your own young. Rabbits are commonly associated with reproduction and mean that in dreams. A hen house indicates the ovaries, as eggs are produced in both locations. Dreams of eggs are about the eggs in the ovaries. For example, to dream of discovering there are only a few good eggs in an egg box indicates coming close to menopause or that there are health issues affecting your ovaries. The expression, "she has a bun in the oven," is synonymous with pregnancy, and ovens indicate this in dreams. Quite often the oven is a microwave, as the word micro indicates something small. With deliberate care and attention, ingredients are carefully blended and placed into an oven to be transformed into a creation in its own right. I plagiarised the symbols you just saw from a far more detailed lesson in my online dream interpretation course that starts on September 16th, just 12 days from now. There is a link to that course under this video. The people who do my course are paying for this show. That's the end of my shameless plug. I want to finish this section by adding a little more. France. The sexual revolution started in Paris in the late 50s with two big movies and two big movie stars, Brigitte Bardot and Jean-Paul Belmondo. The new movies that brought modern sexuality to the screen with empowered women, women with their own money, women choosing their own men on their own terms and dumping their men as they pleased. For this reason, France in Dreams represents sexual liberation. It asks you to let go your inhibitions, to date, to enjoy and explore your sexuality. Don't lock yourself or your sexual side of your nature away. It is a part of you, of who you are, and needs expression. You need to have sex, not a relationship, sex. Let's have a look at a few dreams old style. I've got a few printed out in my hand, and these are all on theme. We have 3 dreams from the same dreamer, and the first one is called Going to Paris. Now, because of what I've just said, you have a good idea what this is going to be about. But see if you would have got it anyway. I dreamed that I came into a lot of money, although it wasn't clear in the dream where it came from. It was just there, all the money I would ever need. So I decided to fly to Paris. I've never been there. I invited a friend of mine in another state to come with me at my expense, and she was going to meet me there later when she was able to get free. It was wonderful to feel the security of never having to worry about money or to look at the price tag for what you want and be able to be spontaneous and adventurous. In the dream, I got as far as the airport before I woke up. These dreams come from a dreamer who did my course a few years ago in Seattle. And it was interesting. I mean, I do them anonymously so nobody knew whose dreams they were. And when I said this one is about sexual liberation, people found it hard to accept that because they didn't see enough of a symbol in there. But watch these dreams from the same dreamer over successive nights. But this one, let's cover it in some detail here. She says, I was going to fly to Paris and she said to somebody else, come at my expense. And she also has the phrase about getting free and being spontaneous and adventurous. So this is what the dream is trying to get her to do, to be all these things, be spontaneous and adventurous, to go out and to enjoy her body. The references to money and not having money come from the fact that she is finding it hard to make ends meet, and she puts herself on hold because of that, clearly, and doesn't go out on dates because it costs. But the dream doesn't care about that and says, look, you still have to find expression. So then we have, don't worry about money, because in the dream, she has all the money she'll ever need. So the point of the dream is, what if you had nothing, if you had no worries about money, then what would you do? And straight away, her answer, because of what happens in the dream, her symbolically saying she'd go to Paris, she says, really, I would really then have no issue with going out having dates. What else does she say there? She says she's never been there. So she's never done this. She's never really let herself go. And of course, that's part of discovering who you are. And then the other state, we have it in the dream, her friend's in another state. So again, this is about changing your mind, changing your state of mind. So it's really good. But really, don't worry about money. So we've got 3 from the same dreamer. So let's have a look at the next one. And this one is called My Aunt Frances. Now, this is a pun on France, even though she actually has an aunt called Frances. So we have Paris, now we have Frances. We can see the theme building. She says, my Aunt Frances died earlier this month, and in the dream, I was cleaning her bedroom closet out for her. Now, the fact that she died in reality makes it a good reason to pick her in the dream. But she's cleaning out a bedroom closet. Well, we know it's definitely about something sexual then. It was packed very tightly with clothes, boxes and miscellaneous items. I had them spread all over her bed as I was sorting through them. So let's have a look. What have we got so far? Frances died. So this is like, don't let that part of you die. Don't get to the point where you are never ever going to want to just let yourself go, that you can never be sexually liberated again. Cleaning out the bedroom closet, that's really good in a dream. That's about cleaning out the issues that you've got with regard to sexual activity. You say it was packed very tightly with clothes. Clothes in dreams represent attitudes. So this is clearing out all the attitudes that you've got that no longer serve you in this regard. She continues on, she says, I had them spread all over her bed and I was sorting them out. Now, we see that frequently in dreams, this sorting and organizing in dreams about the reproductive cycle. And we've covered that before, but it's because there are so many biological processes that have to work in perfect order, hormones being released at particular times, perfect times, all to aid reproduction. She says, then my aunt walked in and I told her she looked fantastic. She looked young and healthy again. She had just gotten in from a long trip and she wanted to take a nap, but her bed was covered with the stuff from the closet. So this is your bed is covered. This is you. You've got your bed covered with all this stuff. So you've got to clear it all off. And the dream wants you to feel fantastic and it wants you to feel young and healthy because indeed this dreamer is. She's not an old woman, but she was acting that way. It continues on. We went through the items, reminiscing and going back in time. There were some items her son built when he was a boy, and for a moment we could see him, the way he looked the last time I saw him, as if he were standing in the room with us. We eventually put everything back in the closet. Oh no, that's terrible. So that's a terrible end to this series of dreams. The whole point was to clear it all out and get rid of it, but the dreamer didn't get there. And in the last dream, she didn't get to get on the airplane, but she got as far as the airport. So we know this is bothering her, but she just hasn't gone all the way yet, and that's unfortunate. She continues, she says, it was lovely to see my aunt again, and I feel as if she had stopped by to say farewell before moving on. And indeed, she had. We often have encounters with deceased relatives when we sleep and our spirit leaves our body and we travel to the astral plane. And we mix those encounters in with our dreams. Now remember what I'm saying, that we have these encounters on the astral plane when we look at our next dream. So again, on the course, people were like, I still don't really see enough to say for certain that these dreams are about sexual liberation. Here's her last dream. And I'm not going to put anything up to cover it. It's just simply titled Sex. It's a little bit more nail on the head. In this dream, I was a much younger version of myself. A spirit being who desired me or wanted me to desire him took over the body of some young guy. She says he didn't seem to correlate to anyone in waking life that I know. And he pressed up against me. We were still clothed, but his desire was so strong that I felt an answering desire in my body. It was so strong, I nearly blacked out with the power of it. Later in the dream, I was still so sexually hungry that I had pounding, standing up against the wall sex with someone I didn't particularly find attractive. Again, he didn't seem to correlate to anyone in my waking life, but he was willing and desperate himself. So those other two dreams are a lot more subtle than this one. This one requires no interpretation whatsoever. In our dreams, we give expression to the parts of our functioning that we're not given expression to in reality. This woman isn't expressing herself sexually, and these dreams are saying, all these dreams are saying, look, you need to do that. You can't ignore that part of yourself. Here's another dream on point. It's called the baby changing pad. She starts off, I was in my childhood home, the home we moved to when I was 12 years old. So this is interesting. It's bringing her, this is the timeline of the dream. And when I talked to the dreamer, she said, this is the house I was in when I started my cycle. And what this dream is doing is it's going back and symbolically improving her view of approaching womanhood and getting her to see it in a beautiful way, as we'll see in the dream. She has issues that she picked up from her mom. We'll see that later on in the dream too. And they affected her view of her femininity. So she continues on. I was in the dining room reorganizing furniture. Now, so we get this sorting or organizing again. But the dining room tells us it's something to do with social situations, and reorganizing the furniture is changing my attitude towards the subject matter, which of course is her cycle. She says, it was a mess and I wanted it to look nice and clean. I stood under the large mirror at the back of the wall. So it's a mess and wanted it to look nice and clean. That's straightforward enough. But she says, I stood under the large mirror at the back of the wall. So the mirror, as we had earlier, is a reproductive device. But standing under it is interesting. So I've reworded it slightly here, and I'm saying the large mirror was above me. So with the reproductive system symbolically above her in the dream is asking her to look up to it or respect her reproductive system, something she needed to fix. I placed a TV cabinet under the mirror and decided it was the perfect place for the baby changing pad. So it being the perfect place, that's great to see in the dream. Let's see, continuing on. I changed the sheets on the changing pad and it had a beautiful pink butterfly pattern. Now I've separated the words out there. So here, changing the sheet and all the references to the pads, they're all part of the process of going through through menstruation. And so we see that as a big thing for her in her dream. But this is all about improving her view of womanhood and what she has to go through as part of being a woman. But she says, okay, now this is the perfect place. So again, looking at everything in the dream, it being under the mirror is saying, this is now something I'm respecting. I find this perfect, this being part of my body. And she says it was beautiful. Again, very, very positive. And it's a pink butterfly. And butterfly is about change. So this is the change coming on her. But the pink tells us that she has a poor bond with her mom. Just pink alone in a dream is enough to always tell us that. Beautiful thing about colours in dreams is you can't have a personal association with a colour. It's always going to mean what it means for everybody. So we know then that she got these issues from her mom and has a poor bond with her mom. She says, I examined the room from the kitchen doorway. The mirror was shining and the changing station was perfect. So examining the room tells us a little bit about the issues with her mom. So her mom is kind of critical or puts her under the microscope. But the mirror was shining, that's really good in the dream, and the changing station was perfect. So again, she's even looking at this from a distance saying, no, this is all perfect, and that's really good. And then she finishes off with, she says, I double checked, it was waist level to make changes easier. It was, so we have waist level there as well, which, but it's all really, really positive. Excellent dream, nothing negative in that dream. And here's another one that I didn't do any bills for because it's such a short dream. The dreamer was 4 months pregnant when she had this dream, and it's a while ago now she's had the baby. But she said, I dreamed I had a flashlight, I could see into my womb, I could see my baby's genitals and could see she was a girl. And in reality, she turned out to be a girl. Now I know that's a 50-50 if you guess. But the dream with the flashlight is saying she's using her intuition, that's what the flashlight represents, using her intuition to tell her the gender of her child. And that's really good. So just included that short one in there. So let's have a look at another one. I'm going to read this one out and then just analyse it without any bills, because I'll get in trouble if I put some of these words up on the screen. She says, I took up working, this is the dream, I took up working for my love interest. An Asian woman who he either dated or hired attacked me as I was leaving my bedroom and locking the door. She had a pistol and blackened my eye. I eventually left to find him, and he was in a bed with 4 people, with a girlfriend and an old man and woman. He saw me and came when I beckoned, and I told him what happened. He cared and cried for me. He'd made comic book type stories, and I wanted him to use one to break up with his girlfriend. I imagined the woman who attacked me felt jealous and threatened. I remember seeing large penises and making out with a young man who was dressed as a stripper cop. He looked like Chris Pratt. He told me I was just a child as he kissed me, and I kissed him. I could smell myself as I kissed him upside down, and I didn't know if I should be embarrassed or if he liked it. I ended up seeing 4 huge penises in a frying pan. So you can appreciate why there's no words going to go up on the screen for this one. So I've looked at a few dreams from this dreamer that she sent in, and you've lots of dreams about your sexual power / femininity. They show that you need to own it rather than suppress it. Closing the bedroom door is bad, locking it is worse. Of course, the dream is just showing you what you are doing, not what you have done. Making out with Chris Pratt is great. He represents your channeling power. That's shown up in other dreams. That's the direction for you. The fact that he is a lookalike is again you not owning it. It wasn't actually Chris Pratt in the dream. You're not a lookalike, you're unique, amazing, stunning, and all the superlatives you can think of when you use your powers. Pistol whipped by a woman. Mom's hand is in this. She used sex or sexuality to hurt you, maybe others. That affects how you face this issue. If she beat you on the face in the dream. Best thing is to get from this dream is a thorough cutting the ties with her will fix it. Note the word thorough. 4 people in bed is just the same thing as locking the door. It would imply confusion or competition or letting yourself off the hook. If you get into bed with one person for the express purpose of being intimate, you're committed. Your partner would know if you're not really present or fully engaging. Not so if there's 4 people in the bed. The stripper cop, that's your guide. You were more intimate with your guides when you were a child. And I asked the dreamer if it was a Spider-Man type kiss, and she said yes. So that is her guide trying to lure her into wanting more. The frying pan penises. Well, a good penis in the morning helps you start your day off right. This dream is really trying to talk like that. I'm using humour, of course, but you get the gist. The whole dream is about your sexual appetite and how you are limiting it. Your ex-musician friend, whom she mentions in her comments, is not the only delicious penis out there. Here's a big point. Sexuality is not just about having sex. It is about you being the sexual being that you are. You were born with your shape and gender on purpose. You chose them. Just like everything else in life, explore what that means and own it. The dreamer shared a little background when I told her what this dream was about, and she said, "I'm currently cutting the ties with Mom. I remember once she walked in on me playing with naked male and female Barbies. They were having a pretty hot date night and she shut it down." Well, that's it for our show this week. Speaking of shut it down, I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, please hit the like button on YouTube and subscribe to my channel. My next online course starts on September 16th. The course runs over 8 weeks, during which time I interpret your dreams, just like I do on this show, but in more detail, and some I do one-to-one. That's just me, you, and your dreams. I'll include links to my course below this video. In the meantime, realize the value in having a dream correctly interpreted and send your dreams to me via the show at dream-analysis.com. Due to some very convincing requests, I've added a new price option to my site for people who dream infrequently. My site got a serious makeover. Go to www.dream-analysis.com to check it out. It now includes a free tutorial and the full dictionary is now restored. Ta-da! You can also send your dreams to this show via dream-analysis.com. You're getting serious value if your dream is picked, and you're getting valuable insights into the world of dreams regardless. Setting the record straight in dreams interpretation, I'm Michael Sheridan. I will see you next week, and until then, I'll leave you with this quote. "A successful woman is one who can build a firm foundation with the bricks others have thrown at her."